don't know. Earth, Wind and Fire song was, I think it was
yesterday. Right. So summer is ended. It's officially over. But the news still pretty hot.
Do you remember?
So it's now time for some hot topics. Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips has announced his 19-member interim shadow cabinet. There are 4 new faces, even with the party's slender representation in Parliament. The new members include Dr. Angela Brown-Burke. I don't know why I thought Doc was already a shadow cabinet member. She replaces Peter Bunting as spokesperson on education and training. Newly minted Senator Janice Allen replaces Dr. Wickham McNeil at tourism. And Lothan Cousins takes over from Victor Wright in local government. Senator Norman Horn has oversight of water, environment, and climate change. Among the changes, Senator Floyd Morris has full responsibility for labor, social security, and special abilities. All other members of the previous shadow cabinet will retain their portfolio responsibilities.
Okay. So who are the others?
The others, it's a lot.
Just who they are, not necessarily what ministry they represent or what area. But you have, so Dr. Peter Phillips is still LO, huh? Even though he's indicated he's going to resign.
Yes.
It's Mark Golding, Fitz Jackson, Lisa Hanna, Senator Donna Scott Motley, Damian Crawford, Maurice Guy, Anthony Hilton, Mikhail Phillips, Philip Powell, Julian Robinson, Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, Natalie Nita, Denise Daly, and you mentioned Norman Horn earlier.
Right.
So that's in addition to the ones that Daly mentioned
right
at the top.
All right.
There. All right, no face-to-face. Principals reject October 5 in-person classes. School administrators are opposed to face-to-face classes come October 5, even as the Education Ministry is contemplating whether some institutions could have normal operations amid a deadly wave of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yes, so the Favour Williams-led ministry, she's now the Minister of Education, said on Friday that it was fashioning a vulnerability index to assess school reopening based on geoinformatics, demographics, and health data. The plan, she said, would include varied approaches, including face-to-face classes, face-to-face class engagement, and remote learning. However, the heads of the JTA and the JAPSS, Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, are already making it clear proposal to have face-to-face school resume is a non-starter.
Yeah.
The president of the JAPSS, Lynburn Wright, told the Gleaner that his group would be averse to the proposed paradigm. This is in light of the obvious spike in deaths and infections associated with COVID-19, he said.
JTA president is also saying the same. Jasper Gabriel said he understood the value of it, and the technicalities and the contemplations, though, made it almost impossible to accomplish at this time. He says, we think that the risk factor is far, far greater than if we were to continue online. We watch what is happening with the rising cases with the pandemic.
And Lynburn Wright is saying that the formula for selective reopening is flawed, given that Jamaica is an interconnected country. We have no faith in the formula grounded in geoinformatics, and we believe that using such a formula is ill-advised. So they feel very strongly about this. I saw a quote from Nadine Malloy yesterday, who is on one of the committees that is looking into this, and she's saying you cannot, at this point, the health of the students is paramount, and face-to-face at this point is not in the best interest.
I would have to say the health of the teachers as well.
Exactly right,
the health of the teachers as well.
Right, because they say although kids get it, kids are more likely to get better, but the kids then...
This is my challenge. We don't have the capacity to test as broadly as we should. We just don't have the capacity. So unless we know that every child coming through the gate has been tested, and we can say, well, no COVID, I think we're running a risk. And listen, I said to someone yesterday.
If them asymptomatic, you're not going to know, Harris.
No, if you test them and they're asymptomatic, you'll know. But at this point in time, we're waiting on symptoms to test. So like people get sick and we say, you're sick, you should test if you have COVID. But if you're not sick, so there's a friend of mine.
Even if you're taking temperatures at the school gate.
No temperature and test for COVID.
Right.
You have to swab for COVID.
Exactly.
And a friend of mine the other day when they said to me, and they're overseas, they just tested positive for the antibodies. I was like, what do you mean? You had COVID? So people
like
in the office were having it. Clearly he had it, but because he didn't have their symptoms, he thought he didn't have it. So, that's the challenge when an asymptomatic child or teacher comes to school or an ancillary worker, and then they expose everybody else. So
you put the kids and the teachers at risk too because they're taking public transportation, which is another level.
We don't have enough testing. We don't have enough testing capacity. If we did, I would have said yeah, because at least we'd know that, all right, this child, and at least for 2 weeks. But I don't know. I mean,
it's not an easy
situation. And I know Dr. Leoai is very meticulous in his research and his data, but Lord, the language is a bit strong. Shame on them is a bit strong. I think it's more of a, let's meet again at the table and discuss your concerns, teachers and principals, and let's see if the concerns you have, I can show you how this will address it. Because clearly there is some kind of misunderstanding. Also on the part of the people who are doing the geoinformatics, that listen, what data do you have? Because sometimes the research they have may not be qualitative. Maybe the research they have is quantitative data that they have gathered from face-to-face primary research with the children. So, and them things not always captured in numbers.
Let's just continue the discussion. We have to, because we need to know what's happening with the education. I mean, I hate to think that the children are going to be going through what they've been going through since March for another couple of months. But if that's what we have to do to keep them safe, it is what we need to do to keep them safe. And to keep their teachers safe as well.
I don't know what else to say. Because about 6 months now, I say we need to make sure online, everybody have access to online. And that I did say that by September, make sure when it opens, the teachers know how to use the technology, the children are comfortable, the children all have access.
Right, and the tools. So access to data, access to the tools.
Yeah.
I know a lot of corporate entities are doing work to hand over tablets, but we need, and I know the government is doing that too, but we need it on a larger scale so that the kids don't get left behind.
Yeah.
And the teachers too, because some teachers are supposed to be facilitating online learning and they themselves have no access either.
No man, a community spread with internet now, so it's tricky. You might have the data on the children, but do you have data on the family and the extended family? And it's tricky. All right. Legislation banning styrofoam has spurred a boom in plastic food packaging, which inadvertently presents a similar, if not worse, problem regarding a rise in non-biodegradables. Yeah. Senator Matthew Samuda, who piloted the ban on single-use plastics in 2018, has called for greater scrutiny on purportedly biodegradable products. He says some things claiming to be biodegradable give me concern because I don't believe they are. All right, that's Clive telling us we got to go. Okay. Well, we're not saying anything. Online lessons definitely will affect practical subjects. There's something else I wanted to mention, but I guess we'll read out to the news.
All right. So let's head to the news. Still to come, Tech Talk, top 5 Zoom alternatives for web conferencing. And we'll discuss the role of therapeutic mushrooms in health and wellness. But before all of that, news in 5.